everyone, welcome back to Traveler's Blueprints. My name is Ellie. A few days ago, I spoke with Kevin, who is a clinical laboratory scientist and has been practicing for the past 6 years. And within those 6 years, he's been a CLS Traveler for 5 years. A few months ago, he wrote a blog. He goes into detail about how he paid off $200,000 of debt in under 2 years. So I reached out to him because I was curious to learn how he did that. Within our conversation, I asked him why did he become a CLS Traveler, what were some of the skepticisms he had before he started this journey, and what caused him to get out of his comfort zone and start traveling. And finally, the ultimate question, how did he pay off $200,000 in under 2 years? Watch this whole video to get all the details.
Hey Kevin, thanks so much for coming on. As you know, the goal of this YouTube channel is to provide CLS Travelers to be successful by providing relevant resources, tips, and strategies to thrive in the world of healthcare traveling. So thank you so much for your time. You shared with me a really awesome blog that I looked into, and I really wanted to hop on the video with you and ask you a few questions. I know you've divided this blog between finances, lifestyle, and you go all the way from hidden perks to being a traveler, all the way down to understanding how your paycheck work or how your pay package works. And I want to ask you a few questions before we dive in and ask you a little bit about your blog. What got you into traveling? What got you into starting this journey?
I learned about traveling. Well, my wife and I, we met in school, when we met in CLS school. And shortly afterwards, when we started working, we met a few travelers, and it just seemed like a really interesting, fun lifestyle. Go to different contracts for 13 weeks all over the country. And then they told me that you make a significant amount of more money traveling than you do staying as a permanent tech. So whenever I found out about that, I was just like, sign me up as soon as possible. So we worked a couple of jobs. We worked full time and also worked a couple of per diem jobs our first 2 years. Because I'd contracted an agency and they said, you need at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years of experience before you can actually set out to travel. Mm-hmm. So we got that experience and took our first contract. And the rest is history. Like, we fell in love with it immediately. I don't see us ever stopping anytime soon.
That's amazing. And not only to travel, but to have a partner is incredible, because if both of you guys have the same driven mindset, you have not only one income, but two incomes, and obviously, living the lifestyle you want. And that's amazing. What were some of the skepticisms or maybe some thoughts you had before you entered that world of traveling? Were you kind of nervous? What were your first thoughts?
Oh yeah, we were definitely nervous. You're kind of going into the unknown. Especially our first contract was in Montana, and we had never driven in the snow before. So it was middle of January going to Montana. So, we were kind of a little bit nervous about going to a place that we had never been. We didn't know anybody. We didn't really know what we were getting into, but we had each other. And so it was kind of a fun adventure to branch out, go to a part of the country we had never seen before. But before we actually got started, we made sure that we had a pretty healthy emergency fund, just in case we needed to come back to, we had to fly back home, or our car broke down, a flat, there's a number of things that could have happened on the way. And also we maintained a per diem status at our facilities, so that if it didn't work out at the contract, we at least had something to fall back on whenever we came home.
Yeah, that's very smart. You're going into waters you don't know. You stay for the per diem job, you have a little cushion for savings, and obviously if things didn't work out, you go back home. And I think in one of my videos, I did mention how one of the important things before you start traveling is to have that little savings account, right? Like maybe $3,000 or $2,000. How much did you have in that savings?
I want to say we had around $3,000 for that savings account. I figured, that would be enough to, if we needed to do, a major repair on a vehicle, or if we needed to put the vehicle in storage or park it somewhere and take a flight back home, figured that would be about enough to kind of coast us through until we could start working, back at a per diem job.
Yeah. what caused you guys to step out of your comfort zone? Like, what caused you guys to be like, you know what, we're gonna try this out and see if it works?
Oh man, I don't know. Just I guess that desire to see what's around the next corner, what's over the next hill. What else is out there. That was, I mean, ultimately for us, the drive is just to see, what else is out there. We were in Texas, we were in Houston. We loved the area, but we wanted to go see another part of the country. And then whenever we
Mm.
saw that part, we wanted to go and see another and another and another.
I resonate with that as well. Like, my first job was in Florida. I worked in Florida for about 3 years, and I hopped around within the
Mhm.
state. I first worked in a children's hospital, then I moved to molecular diagnostics, and I felt that I needed something else. Like, I wanted more, and I didn't know that it was more of different places I wanted to be, different facilities. Um, get out of my comfort zone. As you are traveling and going to different facilities, your skills improve and you're also visiting different places, like you mentioned. And
Yeah,
it's not the same routine. It's not,
yeah.
you don't live in the same place. You're seeing mountains, you're seeing snow, you're seeing flat land, wherever you are. And that's what really
Mhm.
gave me the inspiration to go outside of my comfort zone and move back to California and basically just travel around the state. I have yet to go to other states, but for now, my wife and I are staying here.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Like that, I mean, that was a huge benefit in traveling that I didn't even think about when I first started. Is just it's such a great resume build. I
Yeah.
mean, you get to experience different analyzers, you get to experience new LIS systems.
Mhm.
You meet different people who teach you different methods in different departments. I mean, after a few years of traveling, you have a resume that is, you know, has more substance to it than some people who might be in the same position for 10, 15, 20 years. If you're doing
Yeah.
the same thing in the same
Yeah.
department, there's not much room for growth. So I found
Right.
that as traveling, it was really just an ideal situation for growth for both of us. What part of Florida did you guys live in?
I was living in St. Petersburg, Florida at the time, and then I
Okay.
moved to Orlando.
I grew up in
Um,
Jacksonville. I went to school in Tampa for a little while.
oh, nice. Yeah, I was in the Tampa area. I
Absolutely.
wanted to talk to you about one of the things that really inspired me about your blog, and it talks about paying off 200,000 in under 2 years. Well, first of all, how did that happen?
I mean, it helps a lot. Like I said, we have two incomes. Both my wife and I are travel CLS, so obviously that helped a lot. Um, but we made paying off debt basically our number one priority. I mean, we already lived very frugally, lived a very simple but meaningful life. Um, but every paycheck that we got, every Friday morning, we would see that paycheck and we'd say, okay, let's put as much as we possibly can towards our debt with the highest interest rates. And so it was just, I mean, we would figure out, okay, this is our budget for this month. This will cover all of our immediate expenses, our rent, our you know payments on phones, food, things like that. And then the remainder of it, we're like, let's just drop all of this on this debt and just try and wipe it out as quickly as possible. And so we started doing that and just kind of got used to doing that. And we very quickly started to pay things off and the debt started to disappear. And the beautiful thing is, I mean, we kind of did what we call like it's a hybrid between the snowball method and the avalanche method. I don't know if you're
Mhm.
familiar with Choose FI, but they talk about that kind of a hybrid method. And so we would pay off the debts that had the highest interest rate first. And then after that, we would take whatever was the standard monthly payment on that debt and roll that into our next debt, plus what we were putting into that debt previously. So it would just continue to grow and grow. I think when we first started, we were putting about $2,000 a month or $2,000 a week on our student loans. And then once we were able to pay those off, we rolled about $2,500 a week into paying off the motorhome. And then once the motorhome was paid off, we were able to roll in even more. I think we probably averaged about 2,800 a week paying off the truck. So we were able to pay off our vehicle, a brand new vehicle, $40,000 within one 13-week contract.
Wow.
So that was, yeah, that felt great. That was phenomenal.
This is like the dream team.
Yeah, it wasn't, fortunately, we're pretty frugal. We like to, cook our own meals. We meal prep before work. We don't shop a lot. We like to get out in nature and hike. My one vice is my motorcycle. Love to ride motorcycles, so that's probably the more expensive thing that I have. But yeah, I mean, generally speaking, we like to enjoy the free things that you can experience around your contract, and then just put all of our money into paying off those debts.
That's amazing. Tell me more about being the frugal, practicing that, because sometimes I like to go out and eat, and that's probably very expensive at the end of the day. Maybe I don't have time to meal prep. So give me a walkthrough on how you meal prep, probably which is the best day for you guys to meal prep, and how long of a stretch during the week do you meal prep? 4 days, 5 days?
Yeah, so we usually will meal prep. I mean, on the day that we're both off, it takes a couple of hours. We'll go to the grocery store together and kind of plan things out, what we want to have for our week on, because we usually will work like 7 days on, 7 days off. Sometimes we'll have a contract that's just 3 12s on and 4 days off, which those are really nice, pretty easy to prep for. But we just have nice Pyrex glass containers that we use for basically our lunch boxes, and we'll go through. Choose FI also has a link to some inexpensive yet healthy meal preps that one of the co-hosts' wife has created. And so we'll go through and just look at some of those recipes and be like, that sounds good. Let's try that this week. And so we'll cook enough for lunches for at least 4 days, 5 days, however long our next stretch of work is, and that cuts down on our food costs significantly. However, we like to go out to eat as well. I mean, we love going out for Thai food, Indian food, Japanese, pretty much anything that we have available to us. So I mean, we don't completely deprive ourselves. We still like to go out and enjoy some fine dining, but generally speaking, we'll just cook and take our meals to work.
You did mention one of the websites you look into is called Choose FI, correct?
Correct. Yeah, they also have a blog as well. Or I'm sorry,
they have a blog.
Podcast.
Okay, they have a podcast. They have articles, resources, and I see here that they have recipes. So that's something you use, right, to start meal prepping.
Right.
Everything at the fingertips.
Yeah, I mean, there's we actually did Blue Apron for a little while too. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, and they're a little more expensive. I think it comes out to maybe $10, $11 per meal. Whereas like on the Choose FI, if you're looking at the website right now, they claim that the meals are under like $2 per serving. So I mean, that's
wow.
like incredibly inexpensive. But we used a lot of recipes from Blue Apron. We would just keep those recipes if we really liked them, and find maybe a more inexpensive version of that recipe. And so by doing so, we were able to shave off a few more dollars from the cost.
That's amazing. I love it. I'll make sure I leave those resources in the description below. So going back to your blog, that I'll also leave it in the description below so people can look at it. So in your blog, you talk about paying off $200,000 in under 2 years, which is amazing. I mean, if that doesn't inspire someone else, then I don't know. And then as I scroll a little down, it talks about investing. So now that you're finished with all your debt, what do you do with the extra money? Do you go out and splurge it out, have fun, go on vacations, go to Europe, or what do you actually do with that?
A little bit of both, actually. For the most part, whenever we finished paying off all of our debts, we didn't really inflate our lifestyle anymore. we just continued to take the exact amount of money that we were putting into all of our debts and roll that into investments. So instead of putting that, $2,000+ per week into paying off a loan, we now just put that as a deposit and basically invest it into a broad-based index fund, and continue to do that. Haven't really noticed any change in our lifestyle. However, we still like to save for, like you said, trips to Europe. Last winter, we spent a month in Europe, went through Italy, went to Slovenia, Croatia, spent Christmas in Austria, went down to Germany, up to Switzerland. So we're definitely not, just pinching every single penny and not living our lives. We just got back. We got back from Peru a few months ago. For our honeymoon. So I mean, we still like to travel and get out and spend money. We just spend money more intentionally. We're more aware of where that money is going instead of spending it on just little niceties here and there. We're more intentional about planning where our money goes and how we can make that money work harder for us, and then ultimately that money will work more, or that money will ultimately make more money than we possibly can once there's enough investments rolled up in that account.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all your advice. And if you are interested in looking into Kevin's blog, I'll leave the description down below. There's a lot of good stuff on this website, and to the point where I probably need to talk to you again to see to ask you more questions.
Yeah, I'd love that. That'd be awesome.
Awesome, thanks. Well, thank you so much for your time, Kevin. I really appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Alicia.
Take care. Pleasure. Bye-bye.
All right, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
There you have it, guys. That's exactly how he paid off $200,000 in under 2 years with his wife. If you want to go ahead and read through his blog, I'll leave the link in the description below. If you found this video valuable, share it with a friend who will benefit from it. Don't forget to like, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification bell so you can get notified the next time I upload a video.